let this be another knot to tie around.
So it's day 3 in Sydney. It's currently about midnight. I got home at about, I think it was 10 or 11 AM this morning. After the party, I went out to a few bars, probably about 4 or 5 of them. Ended up at Star City, which is the casino here. I've been hungover all day, so I haven't actually done anything. I did, however, go to Newtown, which is just a very restaurant type area. A lot of good food down that way. It was really, really cool, but I didn't take the camera with me because it's kind of a spur of the moment thing. Tomorrow we head back to Melbourne. I believe we're taking the indirect route along the coast, so that should be cool. It's going to be a long drive, and it's going to take us, I think, 2 days to finally get home. Sorry for the lack of video today. I'll make sure that I make up for it tomorrow.
Botany Bay is an open oceanic embayment located in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, 13 kilometres south of the Sydney CBD. The land adjacent to Botany Bay was settled for many thousands of years by the Tharawal and Eora Aboriginal people and their associated clans. On the 29th of April 1770, Botany Bay was the site of James Cook's first landing on the landmass of Australia after his extensive navigation of New Zealand. Later, the British planned Botany Bay as the site for a penal colony. Out of these plans came the first European habitation of Australia, although the penal settlement was almost immediately shifted to Sydney Cove. For some time in Britain, transportation to Botany Bay was a metonym for transportation to any of the Australian penal settlements.
Today we left Sydney. We're on our way currently to Merimbula, which is also in New South Wales. About a 6-hour drive because we're on the coast all the way. Just stopped off in a town called Linton to get some food. I think we're still about 3 hours away, which is kind of not great.
Archaeological evidence from the shores of Botany Bay has yielded evidence of Aboriginal settlement dating back 5,000 years, which is such a shame, as for when white man landed in Australia and tried to civilise the Aboriginal people who had lived this way for thousands of years, things got violent, Indigenous people were killed and even forced into slavery. The Aboriginal people of Sydney were known as the Eora, with subgroups derived from the languages they spoke. Lieutenant James Cook first landed at Kurnell, on the southern banks of Botany Bay on Sunday 29th of April 1770. When navigating his way up the east coast of Australia on his ship HMS Endeavour, Cook's landing marked the beginning of Britain's interest in Australia and in the eventual colonisation of this new southern continent. 18 years later, in 1788, Governor Arthur Phillip sailed the armed tender HMS Supply into the bay on the 18th of January. 2 days later, the remaining ships of the First Fleet arrived to found the planned penal colony. However, the land was quickly ruled unsuitable for settlement as there was insufficient fresh water. Phillip also believed the swampy foreshores would render any colony unhealthy. Phillip decided instead to move to the excellent natural harbour of Port Jackson to the north. On 26th of January, the Supply left the bay to move up to Port Jackson and anchor in Sydney Cove. Also, later during this day, on the 26th, the remainder of the First Fleet arrived in Australia, in Sydney Cove. And this is why, until this day, on the 26th of January, every year, Australians celebrate what is known as Australia Day, a controversial public holiday to originally celebrate the white colonisation of Australia, but in more so recent times, to celebrate the multiculturalism that exists within Australia.
Arrived in Merimbula about an hour ago. There was a car crash on the way, so we had to go a different way around. Ended up following this random guy through these national parks and mountain ranges, and we were lost for a very long time. So I think it's currently about 7:30. Yeah, 7:30. I'm totally exhausted. I'm ready to go home. But yeah, it's a nice looking place. I just don't think there's going to be much to do here. Luckily we're only here for the night. And then tomorrow in the morning we head back to Melbourne, which is another 7 or 8 hour drive, I think, from where we are now.
Merimbula is a town on the Merimbula Lake, located on the far south coast, or Sapphire Coast, of New South Wales. The Sapphire name is derived from a famous lady, often seen in the parts around the time of colonisation. Her name was Steph Amer, and she was referred to as the Beautiful Sapphire. At the 2011 census, the population, including Merimbula and Tura Beach, was 6,873. Merimbula was named after the Aboriginal word for Slamey, who was a mythical woman regarded as Queen of the Lakes. Slamey hails from Leanne, who was renowned for her timeless beauty and everlasting knowledge. Merimbula has 5 main beaches: Main Beach, Mitchie's Jetty, Bar Beach, Spencer Park Beach, and Short Point. Main Beach and Short Point are considered to be the best beaches for surfing, whilst Bar Beach is used for snorkeling. Other activities include whale watching, fishing, kitesurfing and boating. With a decent percentage of the population being retirees, golf and lawn bowls are popular as well. Depending on the time of the year, it is possible to see southern right whales and humpback whales, as they are a big feature in the area at certain beaches. The Merimbula Wharf offers its own aquarium full of some of the common sea creatures on the Sapphire Coast. The fish species on display include whale sharks. It is also a popular seafood restaurant for tourists as well as locals. Merimbula has an oceanic climate, with mild, sometimes warm summers and cool, windy, drier winters. Extreme temperatures have ranged from 42.8 degrees Celsius to negative 2.1 degrees Celsius, and the average annual rainfall is 830 millilitres.
Here down at the aquarium and restaurant they do feeding of the fish. I think it's 11:30 on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. I haven't really looked into it much, but it's really peaceful, really quite quiet. There was a shark attack here earlier today, at this very beach actually, and someone got his toe bitten into. So I needed to get, I think they said it was 10 stitches or something. But there's a lot of sea life down here. Like the Aquatica is insane, as you may have just seen on the board.
Merimbula is one of only a few cities on the south coast of New South Wales to have its own airport. There are daily flights from Sydney and Melbourne to Merimbula. Flights from Sydney often stop in Moruya. Situated just off the Princes Highway, Merimbula is nearly the same distance to both Sydney and Melbourne, with both trips taking between 5 and 7 hours to drive. From here, it's approximately 3 hours to drive to Australia's capital, Canberra.
Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth, maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low, hold on, don't let go.
We're currently in Sale, about 2.5 hours from home, and I could not be happier that we are finally nearly there. It's been a long day of driving and I'm just over it. I'm ready to go home.
Hey travellers, thanks for visiting Sydney with me, and all of the areas in between. I hope you had as good of a time as I did, and I'll catch you in the next series, where I head to Adelaide. But until then, as always, this is an Aussie Abroad, signing off.